Hey everybody, welcome to my official Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker review. Decided to go ahead and stream this, because why not? And yeah, before I get started, let me just go ahead and make sure the audio's all good, so we're not hearing stuff we're not supposed to be hearing in the background. Let me go ahead and mute my TV and everything. And then we'll get on with it. Probably put on some gentle background music as well. Let me see. Put the picture off, mute it, okay. Put this over here. And I wrote down some notes. Basically what I did was I get the music back on. There we go. So basically what I did was I went ahead and rewatched a playthrough of Endwalker from somebody else's perspective. Like I watched some of my favorite streamers who actually archived their first playthrough of this game on YouTube. I went and watched their little playlist to see their first time reaction to everything. Which of course most of it is from like 6-7 months ago. It's back when, the game first came out, right? And I took some notes as I was rewatching everything. Of course I also got emotional again all over again at all the gut-wrenching parts and everything, right? And so I'm doing a last minute check on my audio. Yeah, that's good. And yeah, so I took several notes, just things to get me going on certain things. Beware, this is probably going to be a very rambly video. It could probably go for like half an hour. I don't know how long I'm going to ramble. But, just a fair warning. And that's not working in the background? Okay. So, I'm still using the noise suppressor even though I'm not playing a game right now, because I realized it also cleans up the audio. It almost acts like a pop filter. But hopefully my voice doesn't also sound like super robotic or anything. I won't know until I look back at this thing, unfortunately. So I'm thinking just in case I might actually record this as well. That's gonna come out the same way, never mind. I might have to record this video twice. Hope not. But yeah, my computer's working overtime. So hopefully it doesn't, Hey, Endwalker. But yeah, I can just get into it now. And just beware, I won't be looking at chat because I might get a little distracted. Like during the credits of Endwalker, I was, I got a little distracted about some of the things I wanted to say because I was also talking with Crimson and Deathwing Duck about stuff. But yeah, I'm just setting up my audio, and yeah, I'll just go into it. But then I just want to get my thoughts out there. So let's see. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and just start reading my notes now. So yeah, like I said, I watched a bunch of Oh, but real quick, yeah, thanks for coming by, Endwalker, I appreciate it. I hope you've, hope you got a chance to catch up on the VODs or something, and you saw my playthrough of Endwalker. But I appreciate you very much. Thank you for coming by. Alright, so, going into it now. See, I knew it was going to be like this. Like, where do I start? Where do I start my little review of Endwalker? It's like, that's why I ordered these notes the way I did. So, there's no real good place to start, so I'll just go by the way I ordered my notes. I felt like this was the best way for it to flow correctly. So the first thing was my predictions. The things I thought were going to happen and weren't going to happen. Some of this kind of goes into very minor spoilers I got before I reached Endwalker. How do I start with this? So basically, some people, unfortunately, they just can't help themselves, right? So I had an old friend who told me I don't know how this came up in conversation, but they told me there was one trial in the whole expansion that has you use NPCs, right? So that was something that was semi-spoiled for. They didn't tell me which one though. And then some random person I met in the Gold Saucer, on an alt of all places, the conversation came up that I hadn't played Endwalker yet because I was trying to avoid spoilers. So I was trying to let them know, right? And they were fine, but they also then again brought it up. They said that there was a trial that you can do with NPCs, and I was just like, why does everybody feel the need to tell me this? Like, why couldn't they just have sure, it's not a story spoiler, but guys, come on, it's still kind of a spoiler. Like, why can't people help themselves? I don't know. This is why I had my chat emailed only throughout this entire marathon, because people like that. I don't know. It's just, they don't have bad intentions, but they just don't understand when you don't want to hear anything, you don't want to hear anything, right? It's like, I don't want to know. But anyway, luckily it was out of context, they never told me what. But then, remember, a few videos ago, I showed you guys, the game spoils itself. I was in the Gold Saucer doing, the Triple Triad tournament to get some MGP during that event, the Make It Rain campaign. And I got a Heidelin card as one of my presets that I could choose from for the tournament. I was like, thanks, Square Enix. That's like, for showing me Heidelin's true form before I even start playing Endwalker. I thank you very much. So yeah, even Square Enix was like, fuck you. But so I thought, I assumed the trial you could do with NPCs through duty support was going to be the last one. Since it was all out of context, I assumed it's probably going to be the last one. Why wouldn't it be, right? It only makes sense. Boy, was I wrong. It actually turned out to be the trial against Heidelin. Which fit very well, I might. I'll go ahead and say right now, that fit really well. Dude, why am I losing my voice right now? Anyway, yeah, I think that went really well. But the reason I brought all this up first, even though it's my third note, it ties in a little bit with my predictions, which was what the hell did I say before? Right before I started Endwalker, like when we finished the very last Shadowbringer stream, I said something about, I got out my predictions, and I think I predicted that Heidelin would sacrifice herself to bring about the rejoining in a way that wouldn't kill everybody. Because I figured we would probably, because like everybody else, I also thought Zodiark was probably going to be the final boss encounter. Boy, were we all wrong. And even now, like, playing through on an alt, I think I remember I got to Zodiark again on one of my alts, and some people were like, oh hey, I'm new, it's my first time. And somebody in the party was just like, I bet you didn't expect Zodiark this early. And they were like, no, I didn't. And I was like, I don't think anybody did, dude. It's the first trial. So, my prediction back then was from the viewpoint of Fan Daniel or somebody was probably going to cause the rejoining, and then Zodiark was going to be at full power. But Heidelin was probably going to sacrifice herself to make sure people didn't die. But even though Zodiark would have reached full power, we probably would have also been empowered by the rejoining, and it would have helped us to defeat him. Something along those lines is what I pictured happening. And of course, that's not at all what happened, right? But while I'm on this topic, and the reason I made it my first note, like I said, I was watching other people. I was watching some of my other favorite streamers play through this game, their first playthrough. As much as, I think for me, it's more of an OCD thing. That I kind of wanted the rejoining to happen just because it feels wrong to be incomplete. To know that you're not at your full power, I guess. You're not, you're sundered into several pieces, right? But I was okay with it when I learned Heidelin's reasons for it, and I understood, and I still kind of held out hope for the end that it might happen, but it never did. And at the end of the day, I realized it didn't matter. Because, for one, thanks to being sundered, we were more susceptible to Dynamis, but we were also able to use Dynamis against Medion. Limit breaks, that's where they came from. I like that they explained that. And limit break techniques come from Dynamis, essentially. I was like, this makes perfect sense, yeah. This power that seems to come out of nowhere to help you, do some last-ditch effort to defeat your enemy who's about to kill you. It makes perfect sense, right? I was like, so that's where limit break techniques come from. They explained it. I like that. It's Dynamis. And Medion pretty much confirms it, or her Endsinger form, the final trial, when you use it to survive the first attack that's supposed to wipe out your party. The tank has to use a limit break, right? And then she's like, Dynamis? Like, what the hell is this? Like, you're using my own power against me, basically. And then she resets and does it again. And then your friends back at the ship, Yestola and everyone else, the Scions, they all shield you the second time around. And she's like, what is this defiance, and yada yada. But they shield you using Dynamis again. It's the same thing. If we had been whole, we would have been too rich in ether to interact with Dynamis and be able to use limit break techniques. That's what Hermes said. He made this point pretty clear in Elpis. God, the music. The music, that's something else I didn't write in my notes, but the music is god tier. In this, they play it at all the right moments, and it hits all the right notes, literally, figuratively. It's amazing. Anyway, yeah. So I was like, okay, so I guess the sundering was necessary in the end. That's why Heidelin did it, aside from keeping Zodiark in check. But some of the streamers I watched, I guess they really wanted the rejoining to happen a lot more than me, because, like, that part where Vana asks you the question, where she asks you, is the future that in the time that you come from, from the future, she asks you, is the world still as beautiful as it is now? And you can answer three choices, which is it's as beautiful as ever, or it has its dark spots, but it's okay, or the last one is it's more beautiful here. The people I watched were like, they were freaking out when they reached Elpis, not like me, where I was just like, oh, this is really cool. Some of the people I watched were just like, oh my god, it's the unsundered world. It's back when everything was great and amazing, and I was like, whoa. And they answered her saying it was more beautiful now. They really wanted the rejoining to happen, like way more than I did. I think they were down bad for it. Which I was like, all right, I can see that. They really wanted it to happen in some form or another. They obviously didn't advocate killing everybody for it to happen, but still, like, they wanted it to happen. And this leads me into my next note, which was, I also realized by watching other streamers, I didn't realize people simped for Emmett Selk. It's like, one of the people I watched, she was, like, as soon as Emmett Selk appeared in Elpis when we traveled into the past, like, she was just, like, going crazy. She's like, oh my god, like, I had no idea he was husbando material. I never knew this. I was like, okay. I was like, apparently Emmett Selk has a little following. And so I think she even talked to him after fulfilling a quest objective at the very beginning, where he was like, and he responds, I talked to him too, and he said this. He's like, what? He said, it's rude to stare, like, stop staring at me. And then she was like, oh my god, they know. They know that we'll be simping out for him. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't know. I had no idea that he was someone that, people saw as, like, husbando material, essentially. So yeah, that was quite interesting. And let's see, my third note was about the NPC trial, which I already talked about. I thought that was very fitting that the Scions of the Seventh Dawn fight Heidelin together. And I like that they give you 2 lives, 2 retries essentially, that buff that you have 2 stacks of, where if you die it revives you. My second time through I played as a ninja, I was playing as a DPS, and yeah, I kind of fucked up some mechanics and I used up both lives, but I won on the 3rd try, so I didn't have to reset, which was cool. I gotta say, I call it a fluke, call it being lucky or both or whatever, but I actually, as I played through the second time, I realized I made it through all of Endwalker's main scenario quests without dying once on my first playthrough on stream. I was like, dude, like, I consider myself pretty lucky, because usually there's, in my experience with certain quest battles in the past, I feel like I've died to, like, very cheap mechanics, or, like, mechanics that weren't explained correctly. And a lot of times, that's why I was very sweaty on stream. I'm sure people noticed. There was a lot of times where I was just, like, really filled with adrenaline because I was looking out for something that could probably kill me cheaply, which happened in the physical DPS role quest. Because I got confused, they said we need to kill the ads, but then they told the tank guy to protect us, and then they were out of view on my camera, so I didn't know what the hell they were doing. And only at the last second, when it was already way too late, I teleported over there and realized I was supposed to be standing near them because the tank was going to use like a limited range limit break or something, the NPC. And that's why I died on that one. But the role quests are completely optional side quests. You no longer have to do them at all, not a single one. So they're side quests. They don't technically count as main scenario at all. But I am glad that I was able to get through the main scenario without dying, because it did. I'm talking about the quest battles and the NPC stuff. Like, obviously, when you play with other players, you win, you succeed or fail together. It's not the same thing. But when the pressure is just on me, winning or losing, it just depends on me. That's when I get really sweaty. That's when I get filled with adrenaline, because, like, I've said this before, I said it on stream, the way I enjoy video games is by fully immersing myself into them. I think a lot of people do that, and part of that is treating it as if it was real life, as if the stakes were real. And in real life, you die once and it's over. There's no retries, you don't revive. So that's why I got really, that's why I got like that. That's because I was treating it as if it was a real encounter, as if I died, that was it. It was over. That's why I got really sweaty for the last bit of the game, especially, Endsinger and everything like that. Because I was like, I really don't want to fail, basically. I don't want to fail. I don't want to lose and let everyone down. Like, the whole world's counting on us, but also my friends the Sounds are counting on me to come back alive, which is why I was also very sweaty for the the quest battle against Xenos at the very end. The actual final boss, which is not Meteon, one of my predictions I made in game was that Meteon would be the last boss, and yeah, technically you could still counter that. She's the last trial, but it, you know, technically it's actually Xenos who comes after in the quest battle. That was also one where I was again, it's like, holy crap, I didn't even use this. You get like 6 lives. I only realized it afterwards. That stack, like the one you get for fighting Heidelin with the NPCs, you get six retries essentially if he downs your HP to 0. I saw the other streamers get downed and they just get back up, but it uses up one of the stacks, which I think comes from Dynamis as it's implied. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's see. Next thing was, but yeah, I was really glad I got to, I actually defeated him without having to use a single stack of the little retry stacks or whatever. And I really enjoyed. I don't know if it was an intentional callback or not, but it was such a Metal Gear Solid 4 moment. The punching at the end, where they both like beat the hell out of each other. I was like, Jesus, this reminds me of the finale for Metal Gear Solid 4. So yeah, minor spoilers for that. I'm sorry about that. I mean, that game is old as shit, but I realize it is stranded on PS3 now, which is why I gotta play it sooner rather than later. But that's something else entirely. Let's see. Oh, so one thing I wanted to say about Endwalker was it retroactively enhances all previous expansions. 100%. Like, I really want to play through the entire game all over again, like just Final Fantasy XIV, and I feel like I'll have a whole new perspective on it now. Like, it's just... I'll be looking out for things I didn't see before, especially with thematically, like the themes of the game, which is to not give up, to forge ahead to the end no matter what, not give in to despair, unity, being there for each other, friends and family, like, you can't make it through life alone, that kind of thing. And I'll get more into that later. But yeah, that like, looking out for that theme now in previous expansion storylines, I really want to do that now. I'm always a fan of replaying a game after the first time. Like, playing it once and then replaying it again, knowing how it ends. Sometimes you almost enjoy it a little bit more the second time around. So I do want to do that eventually, and I will do that on stream. And it'll just be the MSQ, no side content, just because I want to focus on the MSQ the second time around. And I also think... So yeah, I think all previous expansions, especially like Shadowbringers, but all the previous expansions are gonna feel so much better now, I think. And I think a lot of people felt this way too. I saw it in Twitch chats from other streamers. Because you're gonna approach it with a whole new lens, Okay, I'm rambling too much. I gotta move on. The trailer was a debate fest. That's 100% true. My god. The trailer was... Jesus Christ, like... They set it up in a way that makes you think the final battle's gonna be on the moon, They make you think all kinds of shit. And then you realize, surprise, none of that's actually gonna happen. Where's the controls for this? Uh-oh. I'm gonna change this to... I was trying to put the music on repeat because I was like, I'm going a little longer than I thought it would, but it didn't seem to be... What the hell? That's because of the way I played it. Anyway. So yeah, the trailer was set up in such a way that it was like... they made you think the story was going to go one way and it didn't, it went another. Like, I thought the whole world was actually going to be on fire like they showed in the trailer, and then it was literally just the new areas. But I kind of understand why they did it. Yeah, I can kind of understand why they did it, like... If they had made all of Eorzea and all the other areas we'd been to already from previous expansions have the sky be like apocalyptic weather permanently, it would ruin people's ability to go back and kind of enjoy those areas, take G-Post pics, do whatever, without being forced to... Like, they would be forced to have to finish Endwalker before they could actually go back to enjoy those areas. Like, imagine going to a housing district or something, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of breaks the immersion, yeah, especially when you're doing the role quests, which again, 100% optional, you don't have to do them, but still. If you do the role quests and, you're taking down the blasphemies, but everything looks normal, it's a little mildly disappointing, I'll say that much. But again, they probably didn't want to ruin the rest of the game for people because maybe someone who hasn't finished Endwalker but is in the middle of it would want to go hang out with their friends, take a break, from the MSQ, go hang out with their friends, take some G-Post pics, do something. They don't want to have to see the apocalyptic weather all the time. The everlasting light in Shadowbringers is kind of annoying after a while, and that encourages you to continue MSQ to get rid of it, right? But it was just for Shadowbringers area, so they did the same thing here. The apocalyptic weather was only for Garlemald, and that was late game too, and Radzathan and Thavner, which is more mid to late game. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I guess it makes sense. They don't want to have to force people to finish Endwalker to get the apocalypse weather to go away for previous areas, so I guess that's why that never happened. But again, mildly disappointing, little immersion breaking. It is what it is. That's just how MMOs go. It's an MMO. They have limitations. So yeah, the trailer was debating a lot about what we thought was going to happen, so it surprised the hell out of everybody. I think they did a wonderful job with that. I already talked about this. Sundering being necessary for us to be able to transcend our limits and defeat Meteon. What else? Oh yeah, this is something I wanted to... Give me a second. Where is this at? One of my notes here. No. There it is, okay. Play this next. There we go. There. Anyway, so now I'm gonna get more into... I tried to order my notes into, like, kind of, from trivial stuff to more sort of deeper things. So I think I got past most of the shallow, trivial stuff that I want to talk about. People simping for itself, which surprised me. The thing about the rejoining not happening, which was mildly disappointing, but I think more for other people than it was for me. The NPC trial... oh, how did I skip over this? See, I get nervous when I'm on camera, so I fuck shit up. The name Endsinger, it was kind of spoiled for me, but before I started Endwalker, like, I heard the name, and people said it was, like, the last trial or something. Like, I forgot how I saw it, but I didn't know it was Meteon or any of that, thank God. That would have ruined it for me if, like, I had more context. The name. So I just thought the final trial was probably called Endsinger, excuse me. But then I remember when Endwalker first dropped in December, I saw people in duties called, like, the Mother Crystal, which again kind of spoils Eidolon a little bit, and in a duty called the Final Day. So I was kind of confused when I heard Endsinger not too long ago, and I was like, wouldn't it make sense for the final trial to be called the Final Day? Not Endsinger? I was like, well, I was confused. And then, now that I've played through the game, now I know the context of it. Endsinger is the name of the enemy, Meteon's final form. The Final Day is the name of the actual trial. I was like, oh, okay, good. That's good. So yeah, without context, spoilers aren't really spoilers, thankfully. Because, yeah, I didn't know it was going to be Meteon and this or that. I didn't know anything. I was picturing, again, Zodiark being part of the Final Day or something, or maybe Xenos. That one was a little bit of a closer guess. But when I heard the name Endsinger, I was kind of like, I wonder why it's called that, I just kind of wondering, I was like... And then, so when we got to the part in Elpis, where Meteon, she got corrupted by the negative emotions and the despair from other people on different planets. When we got to that part, I was like... And she said she was going to sing a Song of Oblivion from the edge of the universe to kill off everybody on Etheris and all that stuff. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I'm basically going back to what you guys might have caught this when I was finishing that stream, that episode of Endwalker where Meteon flew away and, Hermes erased his memories along with Emmet Selks and his Lodeus. I was like, oh, I get it. I was like, we have to end her song. That's why the final trial is called Endsinger. She's definitely the last boss now, I was like, I get it now. Yeah, that's what finished putting it into context for me. I was like, she's definitely going to be the final battle then. Which is, again, why I didn't expect Xenos to suddenly come in and be like, nope, I'm the final battle afterwards. I did not expect him to have a little redemption arc at the last minute, but I'm kind of glad he did. That's something I didn't write in my notes that I did want to talk about a little bit. He had a minor redemption arc when Alize's words actually got to him, and he thought about the fact that, you know, if I actually want to get what I want, I have to do something selfless. And he did. He was like, you know, I'll help out the Scions with what they're doing if that gives me a chance to get the battle that I want with, you know, the Warrior of Light, the main character, with you. And the son of a bitch did it. I was like, God damn it, this guy. He got what he wanted in the end by actually doing at least one thing selfless, you know? I realized I didn't have my soundboard plugged in. Not gonna use it much during a review video, but just in case. So I thought that was interesting, but I kind of... One second. Anyway. They call it cheesy or whatever, but I kind of thought maybe he was gonna go for the full redemption arc, and maybe actually, like... I don't know. Just not be a douchebag anymore by the end of it. But... He did. You know, like, he still ended up being, you know... as shallow as he always was. He wanted to fight you to the death, and that's what happened. And he died. But it was, again, as cheesy as it was, I think part of me was kind of hoping he would actually, like, change his ways, because if you guys notice during the final stream, I think when he said, you plan to go back home to where you're hailed as a hero and all this stuff, right? Right before the fight starts. And as my character turned around, I was like, yeah, do you want to come with me? Because I was hoping he would change his ways, but he didn't. So I was like, oh well, I guess that's how it's gotta be. And then I was like, fuck, one more goddamn battle before I can go back home alive. Like, I thought I'd made it, you know? I didn't die during Endsinger, and everything else. I thought I made it! But, that was an epic final battle, though. Especially when he called me out and he said, I know you don't just do the things that you do because, like, you want to be, like, how people perceive you as some kind of superhero. He said, I know there's a part of you that also does it because you like the thrill of adventure and all this stuff. The thrill of overcoming adversity, and... He said it in his own words, right? But at the end of the day, he was summarizing it by saying, you're an adventurer. And then you get to choose the three choices, right? I can't deny that, or, you know, I'm done with your shit. Just die, which is basically the other two answers. I was like, dude, I already said it on stream numerous times that I also love the thrill of adventure. So he's calling me out on something I've already admitted to. I can't deny it. So I had to pick number one. I was like, yeah, that I can't deny. But I was surprised when I saw my character get that smirk on his face when he replied to him. I was like, oh my god. I thought that was pretty funny. He was like, that I can't deny, with the most smug-looking face ever. That shit was hilarious. Okay, so that was something I didn't put in my notes, but I'm glad I remembered to talk about it. Okay, so yeah, going to the deeper stuff now. The more feels real stuff, I guess you might want to call it. This game is amazing. Overall, like I said, even just from the shallow stuff, the music, the timing of the music, the musical cues, the writing, everything. It's brilliant. They executed it flawlessly. Like, I'm glad they took those extra 2 weeks where they delayed Endwalker, because I found at least 3 typos. Some of them I think were in the role quests, but most of it was in MSQ. I found at least 3 different spots where there was a typo or, like, the sentence was worded wrong. Unless I just couldn't read it right no matter how many times I read it, but I'm pretty sure something was off there for a couple sentences, and I pointed it out on stream. But, it just served as a reminder of something I've always held as a belief, and I think most people see it this way now, though most people didn't see it this way before. I've intuitively seen it this way since I was a kid, but most people, it took a lot longer for them to come around. Which is that video games are basically the latest, and I would argue the most immersive form of storytelling now. And obviously it's debatable or whatever, but that's just how I kind of see it. Like, video games were basically preceded by movies, which were preceded by theater, live theater, and that's preceded by novels, books, and so on and so forth. Like, you can just trace it back, and it's basically just the next evolution of storytelling is what it is. and it's more immersive because you're part of the story. Like you can get way more immersed into it because you're actually controlling some of what's happening. You know, some games are more scripted than others. This one is no exception to that. But this one was very well done for that. Like it tells a story and it stays true to what art in its many forms is supposed to do, which is it conveys a message. It conveys something for you to think about. You know. The themes I was talking about earlier, I'm gonna pretty much get into that now a little bit. But first I wanted to say, overall, I can say it sounds a little, maybe I put this note a little too early. I should probably talk about the message of the game first a little bit more. But, yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if I talk about it now. I mean, like, I don't think I would ever, I never thought I would have said this about a video game before. But it's like, and I thought about this for the past few days quite a lot, and I haven't changed my mind on it. Like, even after the emotional high wore off, I still feel the same way. This game basically kind of, and maybe it's too early to tell, but I feel like this game kind of changed my life. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I haven't played a video game that's had this much of an impact on me, not just emotional, but just even deeper than that. That's had such a deep impact on me and forever. Like, the last game I remember hitting me so emotionally was like Heavy Rain back in 2010 or something. And that was mostly because of the suspense that's in that game when it's your first playthrough. But this not only got me into that level of suspense, that same level of suspense that game did, but it also conveyed a message that hit me really hard personally. And this is something I saw other streamers that I watched, as well as people in their chat, were saying this while they were doing their first playthrough. They were saying, for those who actually put their chat into their YouTube videos, the ones I got to see like that, some people were saying things that I was thinking after finishing Endwalker, which was like, this game is like, it was almost like going to therapy. Like, it was so personal and hits really hard and hits home really hard for people like me who have had very difficult moments in our past where we've kind of just maybe not gone full Fan Daniel, but we wanted to end it all. I've been there a few times. Like, I'm not afraid to admit it. I kind of am, because lately you just never know what the hell you're even, like, I'm not even gonna go down that road, but like, it's hard to talk about, but it's relevant to this. So yeah, like, there have been times where I've wanted to just, end it. Everything. And like I said, I've never gone to the point of, I've never ever once wanted to take anyone with me like Fan Daniel. Just myself, but yeah, I have wanted to do that before. And usually these self-destructive thoughts about just wanting to end my life was accompanied by nihilistic views and reasoning, like, what's the point of life, yada yada. Everything that this game explores, basically. They're thoughts that I've had, and views that I've had at one point. And people that I met very recently, like within the past year or two, can tell you that I've had these thoughts plenty of times, yeah. It's difficult. And so, like, somebody in the Twitch chat actually said, for one of the streams that I watched, he said this game was like going through therapy or something. He said it was almost like going to therapy. He felt like it reconciled what I did, basically. I can't speak for him. Maybe he was saying that in a different way, but I'm pretty sure he meant it the same way that I was feeling after I finished the game, which was, this game reconciled my, nihilistic views and the thoughts that accompanied them of wanting to end it. Things that, thankfully, they used to be more prominent for me personally when I was a lot younger. Like, I've found more reason to want to live and push forward lately, but I still always kind of revisited those thoughts once in a while when I would get really depressed. But this game just completely flipped all that around for me. Like, I've played plenty of games and seen movies and other stuff before where they've explored these themes and tried to convey the same message about it's not worth it. It is worth it to live life. You just have to find something to hold on to, find your purpose, and then live it to the fullest every day. It's worth it. It's worth it to see life through and not give up too early, or not give up at all, really. But this game executed it in a way that nothing else, no other piece of media I've ever seen or experienced or whatever has ever done before. And cue this song at the perfect time, right? It just, no other game did, game, movie, anything, no other piece of media has done that for me, like this game. Like I said, they've explored these themes, you know, I've seen things where they're like, oh yeah, it's worth it to live life, no matter how pointless it might seem, but this game did it in a way that really actually dug deep for me and actually, like, finally made me understand that life is, yeah, it's a gift. It's worth living. It's I mean, you saw when Xenos asked me if this life was a gift or a burden, I broke down crying, like really fucking hard, because I was thinking about my real life. I wasn't thinking about my adventures in FF14. Not just that. I was like, when he asked that question and I was still pumped with adrenaline after having fought him at the very end, I literally thought about I had flashbacks of my life. The good times and the bad. When he asked if I saw this life as a gift or a burden. And over the past few days, as I rewatched somebody else play this and everything, I finally reached my answer to Xenos' question. It was, yeah, it was a gift. Despite all the horrible things that or at least for me, you know, everybody's experience is subjective and different, you know. And I won't go into detail about some of the things that made me want to, you know, end it all in my past, but like, as much as I've been hurt by those experiences, I came to realize through playing this and seeing how they explored how you can't really savor joy without sorrow, things like that. I came to realize that those experiences are just, they're part of, I gotta silence my phone. They're part of who I am today. They made me who I am today, and as painful as some of those memories are, I can't throw them away for anything. It's thanks to the people and things that have hurt me before in the past. If it wasn't for those things happening to me, I wouldn't be who I am today. For better or worse. And I actually do like the person that I am today. The level of compassion that I feel for other people, amongst other things. You know, the way I turned out, I feel like, yeah, nobody's perfect. I could be better. I'm kind of shitty with some things, better with other things, yada yada. But overall, I feel like I've had a good life. I've been lucky enough to have a good life. And I think I just kept dwelling too much on my negative experiences in the past. I dwelled way too much on things and people that really hurt me before, especially when I was a kid and as a teenager. And I kept clinging on to hatred and despair over those moments for so long. And yeah, it seems kind of cheesy, and maybe it's like, to some people it's like blowing it out of proportion, but for me it's not. When I say that this game helped me finally reconcile how I feel about those experiences and those people who wronged me in the past, and even when it wasn't a person doing something wrong to me, things that happened in my life that I felt were very unfair and that I didn't deserve. I have like a whole new perspective on it now. Like, it's just, I no longer feel like I would trade those experiences for anything. I used to think I wish that hadn't happened to me. I wish I could go back in time and change it, and I don't feel that way anymore. And I'm no longer like it. This game literally lifted that weight off of me with the way it conveyed its message. It's just, that's the only way I can explain it. It lifted a weight off my shoulders. Like, it finally allowed me to forgive those people and forgive those instances in life where I felt that something unfair had happened to me or had damaged me really bad. I was finally able to let go of the hatred and malice and despair that I had for those moments or those people that wronged me before. I was finally able to let that go and realize that it's just a part of life. Without suffering, we can't know joy. We can't savor joy without suffering. It is what it is. For better or worse, it makes you who you are now. And like I said, I'm happy with who I am now, so I wouldn't trade any of my experiences for anything anymore. It's thanks to this game I was finally able to reconcile all of that, my entire past, good and bad, and say, yeah, life is worth living. It's worth it to, as the song says, forge ahead to the end. To see it to its conclusion, and I've since vowed to do that now. I've even talked to some of those people from my past who once wronged me, and I told them that I've let it go now. That I don't hold anything against them anymore. I don't hold anything against them anymore, and I actually now just thank them for making me a stronger person, because that's what suffering tends to do. Again, that old saying of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? It's very cheesy, and yeah, obviously I've heard it before, from music and other things, but for some reason it just never got through to me, until now. There was something about my experience with this game in particular that made it really finally sink in. What a lot of different things have been trying to tell me for a long time. That's why I'm praising this game so much. It conveyed this message that I've already heard so many times before, in a way that actually helped me be more receptive to it than I've ever been before. I don't know what it was that it just didn't it just didn't sink in before, you know? Like, it just, for some reason, the way it was presented in other forms of media that I've absorbed, it just didn't do it. It just didn't get to me. I would always just kind of look at it and just be like, okay, yeah, whatever, I get it. You know, but then I would just kind of go back to thinking the same way as before. Like, what's the point of life? It's, you know, that's all bullshit. I would go back to being nihilistic afterwards, but that hasn't happened with this. This experience really stuck with me in a way that none of those other ones did. It's hard to explain. I don't know what it was about it. It's just the storytelling was top-notch, and this leads me to my next point, because I rambled on too much about this when I gotta get to my next note now. Because it helped me so much with these personal demons of mine, I can honestly say, without a doubt, and I even said this on stream, but I thought I was just emotionally high in the moment, but now I realize I'm not. I really mean it, now that I've had days to think about it and dwell on it. This is honestly my new Final Fantasy, or favorite Final Fantasy game, and favorite video game of all time. And that's... I haven't said that about a video game since my childhood. Like, yeah, call me stuck in the past or whatever, but I don't think I could ever have pointed to a single video game as being my favorite one of all time. Until now. And when it comes to just the Final Fantasy franchise alone, I never thought that in my entire life I would have found something that was going to dethrone Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII from being my favorite ones in the series, and then this came along. Like, I remember what I said on stream, FF7 Remake has competition now, and I meant it and I still do. I don't know how they're going to... Like, this story was just so personal, and it helps that the main character is yours. You make that main character. It's your character. It can be an extension of yourself if you want it to be, which I did. I made my character an extension of myself, and that's what helped me immerse myself and enjoy this as much as I did. And you just can't do that with other games. Like, FF7 you're playing as Cloud, FF8 you're playing as Squall. It's not the same thing, right? So, yeah, it's, if I had to name my top 3 Final Fantasy games now, I think I would say this game is top now, Endwalker, and then FF7, and then FF8. But FF7 and 8 still kind of, they do this for me. Like, sometimes I'm feeling more one than the other. FF7 because of its environmentalist. I mean, look at this shirt. There's no Planet B. Which that's even something that's kind of covered here too. I'll get into that in a minute. The whole environmentalist theme that's kind of in the background in FF7, obviously that makes it one of my favorites. FF8, mostly because I'm the fucking Squall simp, alright? I liked the concept of the Gunblade, that's where I first saw it. And I liked Squall's character design so much, and his personality, and the journey he goes from being like a selfish douchebag into accepting, actually letting other people into his life, and accepting having like friends and family and caring about other people. Instead of overcoming his trauma of feeling that he had to be alone and all that, to avoid pain. So, yeah, if I would say top 3, I would say, yeah, these 3 now. FF14, then 7 and 8. Maybe I would say 14, then 8, then 7. Depends on how I feel. Those 2 still kind of battle it out. But 14 now has them both beat easily for me. And I never thought that would happen. Honestly. I never thought that would happen. And yeah, FF8's whole friendship theme is cheesy, of course, and this game can be cheesy too, but I don't mind that stuff, honestly. When it's done well, like this, like FF14 did it, like FF7 and 8 does it, in my opinion. When it's done well, I don't mind it at all. Yeah, I don't mind it if it's a little overly cheesy, who cares? I've had to put up with watching cheesier Disney movies and shit when I didn't want to, so fuck it. It doesn't affect me that badly. And hey, I used to be a hardcore Kingdom Hearts fan until Kingdom Hearts 3. That's a different rant for another time. But yeah, to say Endwalker did it better, basically. So yeah, never thought I'd see it, but yeah, after 20 plus years, I can say that this is now my new favorite Final Fantasy game. The caveat, this is what I didn't want to forget to say, the caveat is, I feel like you can't enjoy Endwalker without playing the previous expansions though. So, and if, like me, if you see the previous expansions as prequels, or the games that kind of led up to this, it's, yeah, if you just skip to Endwalker without having played anything, like if you're a brand new FF14 player and you just skip to Endwalker, I feel like you're not going to get the same level of emotional impact at all. There's just no way. Like, maybe the message of it that it's conveying to us, the audience in real life, yeah, that might still get to you, for sure. But when it comes to enjoying not only that aspect of it, but also the in-game fiction, you know, your character's bonds and the bonds that your character has formed with the Scions and with everybody else in the world who, at the end of the game, is basically counting on you and the Scions to save everyone, that impact will not be felt if you don't play the previous expansions. So, that is a pretty big caveat. It's like, I can say FF14 Endwalker is my favorite and that it's the best game of all time and yada yada. And that's obviously, all of this is just my opinion, okay? I'm not trying to change anybody's mind here. This whole video is just my opinion. I should have said that at the beginning because some people get triggered. But yeah, I realize that you can't enjoy it the same way unless you play all the previous games, and that's a hell of a time commitment, you know? But FF14 is a story-based game. It is what it is. If you skip Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers, you're just not gonna feel the same. From playing Endwalker, you won't get the same experience if you just skip right to it. I don't think. Again, everyone's different. Some people might. I know I wouldn't have, though. So I'm really glad that I actually got to play through the entire game twice. And once on stream, giving my commentary and shit. But yeah, it's easily my favorite Final Fantasy game and my favorite video game of all time now. Like my favorite form media, I guess you could call it. Movies, music, video games, this is like my favorite of all time now because of what it did, what I talked about earlier, everything I ranted about, how it personally reconciled a lot of my feelings and nihilistic views that I used to have. And like I said, it feels like an enormous weight off my chest. Like, I feel so much happier now. Having accepted my painful past, the painful things that have happened in my past. I don't want to act like my whole life's been shit. It's not. I've actually been very lucky. But I kept focusing on the negatives too much, and now I don't do that anymore. Now that I don't do that anymore, thanks to this game and the therapy that it gave me, essentially, I'm actually able to enjoy life a lot better now, and I actually wake up a lot happier and see things a lot better now. Even after the emotional high from this game wore off, I feel different. I really feel like it has changed me. It was a very weird feeling. A very, very strange feeling. Because nothing had ever had such an impact on me before. Nothing. I had never felt this way before after watching a movie or playing a video game before. It never happened before. I'd never felt like it had changed my life or it was in the middle of changing my life in a way that, you know, that I never thought would happen, and it did. So I was just, yeah, I'm just taken aback by it. It's just incredible. It's something else. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just, I can just leave it at that because I'll just start rambling again. Whew. But yeah, needless to say, I pretty much see life in a much lighter, even despite all the doom and gloom in the world. And that actually ties into some of my next few notes here, so I'll hold off. Yeah, I see life in a different light now, and I no longer entertain thoughts of, you know, basically suicide and stuff like that. I feel like that's a part of the old me now, and I'm in the middle of saying goodbye to my old self from just a few days ago. I just feel like no matter how difficult things get now, it's worth it to stick it out to the end. And I know that resolve will be tested. I know my life, you know, like anybody else's, challenges are still yet to come for all of us. And I know my newfound resolve will be tested sorely in the days and weeks and months and years to come. Depending on how long I'm able to stay alive by my own volition, of course. You know, you can't control it. If I could walk out of my house today and get run over by a car, you know what I'm saying? It's like, But assuming I still have years left ahead of me, I know my resolve will be tested. But I honestly feel like I just have to remember this experience whenever I'm feeling really down, even if I can't play the game. Just remembering this experience will be enough to remind me that it's worth it to keep pushing through. I really feel that way. And yeah, that's basically the overarching message of Endwalker. That's my next note, was that to see it through to the end. It's worth it. It's worth it to see life all the way through to the end, to its inevitable conclusion. But above all else, savor every step of that journey. It's always about the journey and not the destination, something I've heard many times, and I've said it before on stream many times. I said it when we played FF15. It's always about the journey, not the destination. There's never a reason to rush through it, to rush through life or anything. Like, it's about living in the moment and savoring every moment of your life. And that's something that I learned about through meditation as well. But again, all these things that I've already heard before just didn't sink in until I played this. This just found a way to sneak past those last few mental barriers I had towards these messages telling me to stop dwelling on the past or dwelling on the future and thinking negatively of it. This found a way to finally sneak past those barriers that I had, those mental barriers I had that kept like denying that stuff, no matter how many times I heard it. It found a way to sneak past that and actually finally convince me to listen. To actually listen to that message that I've been hearing over and over for so many years now. To live in the moment, to not dwell on the past, to not dwell on the future. To just live in the moment and enjoy what isn't right now. And to live life with a purpose. To find your own purpose in life and then live it as strongly as you can. Just live. That's the point of life, is just to live, right? I don't know why my brain was so stubborn. It just never listened to those messages until now. Endwalker was finally the one that did it. I finally broke the dam and allowed me to finally become receptive to that message in a way I never thought I would be. And it's just changed me. That being said, I think this story and the themes explored resonate with a lot of people, especially with what's happening in the world today. And I won't go into it, because why? You know, we all know what's happening. It's, you know, you can run away from the news all you want, but sooner or later somebody talks about it and you hear about it. You know, things happening around the world, it's getting a little dark. So I think this is part of the reason why. I think the themes in this story are obviously very personal for not only the audience, a lot of the people playing through this game, but also the developers and the writers themselves. I think that's why they were able to make it as brilliant as it is, because it's something that the developers and the writers, I'm sure, have struggled with in the past as well. I wouldn't be surprised if, oh my god, I forgot to write down her name too. Ishikawa, I do remember her last name. And her co-writer and everyone else who worked on this, like, I wouldn't be surprised if these are thoughts that they've struggled with too. I think a lot of us do, even if we don't want to, even if a lot of us might not want to admit it. I think there's a lot of us who struggle with nihilistic views and perspectives sometimes, and suicidal thoughts, like I have. You know, like I don't think it's actually that rare. And I think it's only becoming more and more common, not only since the pandemic started, but also, you know, COVID-19, but also everything else happening in the world, I think, lately. So yeah, I think this leads to one of my next notes, which is that this story and its themes are very timely. This is like almost therapeutic for people living in today's world and experiencing and seeing the things that they do on the news and everything, like, and even just for people going through a rough time personally, just in their own personal lives, like me. Which I'm not right now. Right now I'm actually pretty good. Like I said, I was mostly dwelling on bad experiences I had in the distant past, and I was clinging to them too hard, and now I'm not anymore, thankfully, thanks to this game. But yeah, I feel like these, I feel like this was definitely very personal for the developers and the writers. Otherwise, they never would have been able to execute it as well as they did. They wouldn't have been able to. Somebody who doesn't understand the kinds of emotional struggles that were explored in this game would never have been able to, you know, write the story in a way that reconciles them so well. I don't think so. I really don't think they would have been able to do that. But they managed it. They pulled it off. Because it's obviously something they go through as well. Everybody gets depressed and stressed out once in a while. It happens to all of us. And some of us go to dark places because of that. So yeah, this is truly something else. And so another one of Endwalker's themes, of course, is the theme of unity. This is my next note now. The theme of unity. You know, you can't get through life alone. When they talked about this, I can't remember the exact quote, I'm paraphrasing here, but Alize's the one who said it best at the end with Medion. She said, what, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote, but what some people may weather, meaning they can handle it, might bring someone else to tears. Like it'll just break them. I saw this with some of the streamers I watched too. They broke down crying at parts where I didn't, and I broke down crying at parts where they didn't. So there it is. What she said was proven right there. And yeah, she's right about that. And she said, but the thing is, that's why we have each other. That's why we have our friends and family. That's why we're there for each other, to pick each other up when that happens. You know, when somebody gets broken by something that someone else doesn't, you know, the person who still has their shit together can swoop in and help lift up that person from the pits of despair, essentially, and help them realize that things are going to be okay. That they need to just, you know, let their emotions out, but it's going to be okay. Like, things will get better. You just have to believe in a better tomorrow, and it will come. Eventually. And then this music kicks in rather cute. Obviously, I bought the soundtrack because I wanted to support them. I bought the soundtrack, and I've been listening to it. And that's how I made this little mini playlist for this video. God, a lot of the songs, especially like this one, they just trigger me instantly. As soon as I hear it, I just choke up and start wanting to cry all over again, remembering some of the best moments in the story. And how they resonated with me, with some of the things that I've gone through in real life, you know. Oh yeah, I got a little sidetracked. Because of what Alize said, is being 100% true, that we have to be there for each other. We can't get through life alone. We're inherently social creatures. This is proven by science. We break down psychologically. We lose our shit. All you gotta do is watch that movie, Castaway, with... What's his name? Oh shit. I forgot the actor's name. Shit, well, the movie's called Castaway. I remember that. You can look it up, you can see who the main actor was. I forgot his... I can't believe I forgot his name. All you gotta do is watch that movie and see how it destroys the human mind to be alone. To be stranded on an island, even if it's only figuratively, to be completely alone. It breaks you. It completely destroys you. You need to be around other people. No matter how, even the most introverted of us, which I consider myself introverted. Even I will admit, you get lonely. Eventually you do want to talk to someone. You do want to find someone to relate to, you know? It's hardwired into our brains. It's part of our DNA. It's in our biological nature. And again, further proof of that, I just remembered. Babies, newborns. This has unfortunately been proven by ancient studies from the past that are insanely unethical now, for obvious reasons. Even if a newborn baby's needs are met, like their other needs, like food, shelter, warmth, all that, if they don't experience human contact, like skin-to-skin contact, if you don't touch them, if you don't like caress them and like basically pet them, hug them, carry them, if you don't touch them, if newborn infants are not touched, they will die. This has been proven. It's a fact. A newborn infant that isn't touched by another person, that doesn't feel the warmth of another person touching them and being in the same room with them, yada yada, they will die. It's guaranteed. We need each other. It's not up for debate. We need other people. Call it cheesy and corny, it's absolutely true. It's proven just by that alone. So yeah, the theme of unity in this game, again, something else that probably resonates with a lot of people, and is very timely. We need each other, and I love the fact that the whole world essentially came together to help the Cylons reach Medion in the end. Everyone came together and put aside their differences, even factions that used to be at war with each other. They all set aside their differences, especially thanks to your past deeds as the Warrior of Light, and all these different lands across the world. They all set aside their differences, and everyone came together to help make sure that you had what you needed to get the spaceship up and running so you could reach Medion at the end of the universe and defeat her and stop her from what she was doing. And I'm also, on that note, I'm also very happy that we were able to save Medion. I'm very happy that she didn't just die after, because she didn't deserve it. Um, she was at the end of the day, she was basically just another victim of the unfathomable levels of despair that all the other civilizations across the universe that died experienced. Essentially, their negative emotions infected her so strongly because she was so susceptible to dynamis that they basically took control of her. I mean, when you go back and look at the scene in Elpis where she first starts getting corrupted, she's yelling at anybody who can listen, which is only the Warrior of Light, because your ether is thinner. You can hear her emotions, so you're the only one who can hear her saying, "If anyone can hear this message, please help." Like basically help stop this because I'm being corrupted by these negative emotions, and then that's when she turns. So it wasn't her fault. Like she wasn't really the one we were out to stop and destroy. We were literally just we set out to destroy the physical manifestation of despair itself, from which came from all those other civilizations across the universe that they all gave up on life for whatever reason. And that's essentially what was the actual final battle, was against that. It was against despair itself, incarnated and manifested in physical form. That's what Endsinger was. It wasn't necessarily Medion. It just kind of used her body. As they say, misery loves company, right? It wanted to take everyone down with it. I thought it was doing everyone a favor. But at the end of the day, Atheris chose life. And that's something we can all learn from, right? I'm glad I've chosen life whenever I've come close to just ending it all. But I couldn't have done it if there weren't people in my life who were there to lift me out of despair. I might have actually pulled the trigger some of the times that I came close. Figuratively speaking, of course. Because it wasn't... I'm not going to go into any of that, but yeah, it was not an actual trigger, I'll just say that. But yeah, figuratively speaking, when I got close to that, there were people who lifted me out of despair at the last moment and helped me out. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today. So yeah, the theme of unity. You can't do it alone. You can't get through life alone. And all of this on a macro level in real life, again, I feel resonates with a lot of people. When you look at what's happening, and again, I won't go too deep into it, but this, I've talked about it before, this t-shirt comes from like an anti-global warming sort of thing, organization I found on the internet one day. When you look at problems like that, climate change, things like that, it's pretty clear at this point that if humanity doesn't get itself together and start working together, we're not going to make it. It's plain and simple. Like, nature has been showing us for a while now that we have to stop fighting amongst ourselves and bickering and squabbling like a bunch of kids, like on an international level. And if we don't do it, we're probably not going to survive what's coming next, where things are going, you know? It's not just climate change. I'm not going to go into it, but there's plenty of other things that are sort of ramping up that it's just not looking good. Like, it's a little sad to see that it seems theoretically that the only thing that can unify people is some kind of outside threat, but it has to be like in this, Medion, of course, and what she was doing at the edge of the universe. In real life, it's like, well, why don't we see natural disasters, climate change, and things like that affect all of us on a macro level? Why don't we see that as the common threat and allow that to unify all of us, right? But again, that's another discussion entirely. It's just something that I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit, but it's something that kind of, yeah, I'm like, I hope this resonates with enough people over time that things can change in real life as well, You can't make it through life's inevitable hardships and suffering alone. We all gotta be there for each other at some point or another. So I like that unity. And so finally, for one of my last notes, which I feel like I should have put this before that one, but I already touched on this. Living in the moment. Happiness is always with us. It's always right in front of us. We just have to learn to live in the moment, not dwell in the past or the future. I already talked about this, so never mind. That last note is already done. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. My predictions. This. Yep. yeah, this is pretty much how I feel about this game. Like, this game's amazing. And yeah, the reason I put this theme of Unity at the end was because of a quote that I already said on stream once before about how humanity in real life could learn a lot from this, and everything I was just saying. At the end of the day, we're gonna have to work together and put aside our differences if we want to survive in the long run. Because unlike in this game where, you know, the moon is a spaceship that can take us to another planet if things go wrong, in real life, the moon is not that, and we have no other planet. That's why I wore this shirt. There is no planet B. We have to do basically what the Scions did and gamble it all on saving this one because it's the only one we got. As cheesy as that sounds, that's pretty much what needs to happen. So yeah, that's why I put that at the end, because that's another very strong theme here, working together and all that stuff. And I guess the way to really hit that point home, and I've said it on stream before, was from a quote that I got from a civil rights activist from a long time ago. He said, "You are all one, and if you don't realize it, you're gonna find out the hard way." And he was talking to everyone, humanity in general, when he said this. It's a civil rights activist by the name of Bayard Rustin. I heard that quote and I was like, damn, that's some strong shit. That's some hard truth right there. And even though it's fiction, you saw what can happen when people work together. Just seeing, you know, in Endwalker, you can see what's possible when people work together and set aside their differences and work towards a common good. And the more people, the better. We're capable of a lot, humanity. I always daydream sometimes what would happen if people in real life actually unified like this, and worked towards a common goal. What we could achieve. I mean, I say that because I look at what's possible just from the fragmented society we have now. Just from seeing how fragmented our society is right now, look at all the amazing things we can still achieve, even like that. Imagine if we were all actually getting along. How much more we could do. I believe humanity has a lot of hidden potential there, if it actually learned to work together, you know? As a whole. If we can accomplish all this in a fragmented society, yeah, imagine how much more we could do in a unified society, where we actually work together. So yeah. That's another very strong theme that I loved about Endwalker. Being there for each other to help us through life's hardships, but also seeing dreaming about the whole world actually coming together. Like that one John Lennon song, right? Imagine? Yeah, yeah, I remember now. It's that song, Imagine. I think it's still one of the most popular songs of all time, I think. John Lennon's Imagine. Because it preaches the same message, essentially. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I'll leave it on that, on a high note. Imagine. Imagine if the world actually came together and started working together. How much more we could achieve, yeah. How much nicer life would be for everyone. If we could just set aside our differences and show each other some compassion, you know? But that's going to require an enormous overhaul of the way we conduct ourselves on this planet. Economically, politically, socially. It's a huge undertaking. Probably won't even happen in our lifetimes. Most likely won't. But I'm going to hold on to hope that it will someday. And until that day comes, I'll just keep living my life by my values and with integrity. I'll keep preaching the same message and say what's on my mind about how I feel about all this, which I'm doing right now, and just leave it at that. That's all I can do. I'm just one person. Hopefully, my voice will resonate with people who feel the same way. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That officially wraps up my review of Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. Sorry for it being very rambly, but I warned you ahead of time it would be, because it wasn't scripted, it wasn't any of that. Although it wasn't scripted, I just hit go live and I went for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think I'm going to wrap up the stream here, because I just wanted this to be a review video, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, when I come back, I'm not going to spoil it, I'm going to play a game very different. It's a one-off. It's not a series. It's not gonna be another little mini marathon or anything. But then I think I'm gonna do what I said after when I was close to finishing Endwalker, especially with how it ended in the final battle with Xenos and everything. I think my next little mini marathon will be, I call it mini because it's not as many games as FF. It's probably gonna be the Metal Gear series. But I will actually, I've thought about what I'm gonna do with FF14, and I'm not gonna do what I did with this marathon where I just play nothing but Final Fantasy over, I'm not just gonna play. I don't think I'm gonna play just Metal Gear until I'm done with the whole series, which is not that long. I'm just doing Metal Gear 1 to Metal Gear Solid 4. I think I might actually mix in some FF14 streams here and there. And maybe I'll start doing like some of the post-marathon content I said I was gonna do. Like seeing how the rest of Via Infinito, to say it in Spanish, it's easier for me, for FF10 too. Seeing the rest of that, maybe seeing the rest of the optional content, the side quest content I skipped over for FF13 too. Maybe I'll get started on Eureka and Bosja in FF14, I've never done those. Maybe I'll even show the Relic storylines for Realm Reborn and Heavensward. No promises. It's grindy. Just like Eureka and Bosja is gonna be. I know that, but still, I'm just getting ideas out for what I might do with my stream going forward. And I think probably just for the Metal Gear stuff, since I'm gonna be doing hard, like, I haven't decided yet, but I might have the chat still in emote only for those videos. But when I play FF14, I'm not gonna have emote only anymore because there's no point anymore. I'm past what I wanted to say, and I'm past like spoilers. Yeah, I still haven't played 6.1 and beyond yet, but I'm not as afraid of spoilers. What I really didn't want spoiled was Endwalker, so I'm past the point where I'm kind of like, okay, 6.1 and beyond, it starts a whole new storyline. I hope it's good, but I'm not gonna like be a super stickler anymore about like, I'm gonna put this in emote only mode so nobody can spoil until I play 6.1, because I don't know when I will. I will eventually, but I don't know when. And first I'll probably do the raids before that. At least the ones that are out. So yeah, I'm just throwing out ideas. Anyway, I'll shut up now because I'm just rambling about what I might or might not do in the future of this stream. So I'll leave it at that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, for anyone who actually sat through this live, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you all very much. As always, I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and good night. And, well, going with the themes of Endwalker and everything that I said really touched me and reached me deep down. I hope you all, please, I bid you all, please, look after yourselves, but also look after each other. You know, stay safe out there and look after yourselves, but also look after each other. You know, if you know somebody who's struggling right now, reach out to them. Because I know what it's like to end up in really dark places. So yeah, reach out to them, you know, look out for each other. Stay safe. Take care, and until next time, you know. As I said before, remember it. We're all one. If we don't realize it, we're gonna find out the hard way. So, please take the message to heart. Endwalker's beautiful, and it conveys a beautiful message. I think we all need to take it to heart. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, thank you all very much again for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Let me open up the chat again. Aiden Lorcan, thank you very much for coming by to watch my little review. Yeah. Take care, friend. Thank you for the review. Yeah, thank you very much, Aiden. I wasn't reading chat just because I wanted to get through this, but yeah. My god, this went 1 hour and 14 minutes? God, I ramble so much. But, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I don't have, like, some perfect way to end it. That's all I can say. So I'll just let the music play, and the themes of this game will pretty much speak for themselves through the music and the emotion it conveys. So, take care, everyone. Have a good one.